Let's start with the Ghanaian Times and move on because some of the stories are overlapping. The Ghanaian Times carries this one and says its last IMF program, President tells trade unions. That's the president they're talking. Now, the story is suggesting that President Mahama has stated that the International Monetary Fund program is the last one for the country. Now, he said that next year is the last year of the program, and then, according to him, we'll go back to the homegrown fiscal policy. Now, according to President Mahama, we're almost there and we'll finish hard. And I am reiterating that this IMF program is to end all IMF program. President Mahama emphasizing there. Let me tell you what's in the Daily Graphic when the workers spoke. Now, Dr. Kofi Asamoah had earlier told the president that they want government to take a bold decision to withdraw from the International Monetary Fund program because of its negative impact on the lives of Ghanaians. He said since the introduction of the 3-year program in 2015, many Ghanaians, including the working class, had continued to get poorer by the day, and the situation could become worse if the program was allowed to prevail. That's Dr. Kofi Asamoah, the outgoing trade union boss, talking there. Dr. Abdullah, let me start with you here. Workers say, get out. The president said, well, we've gone through the challenges and we're almost there. The building blocks, according to the president, is being laid. And so withdrawing isn't too good. But in fact, this is the last time Ghana will go to IMF.
First of all, good morning to you and good morning to the viewers out there. Well, what the president is saying now, from where I sit, I'll just say that what do you expect him to say at this particular moment? Because elections are so close, we are not sure whether the president will be the president in January 27 or is going to be another person, or it could be the one continuing. But he's making a promise that this is the last. Let me say that with this IMF issue, the issue is whether we can win ourselves out from IMF. Totally. I have a different view, and my view is this. In the short term, it's not possible for us as a country. And probably in the long term, we might be able to move out from the IMF and then be able to stand on our own. So for me, when I talk of the short term, this is my view. Once we know, come next year, 2017, the probability, if I ask you to guess the kind of government that we will have in this country, I think there is a possibility. I respect all other parties, but you can guess how the situation will be. And that is why I'm saying that it's not possible. What the president is saying, it wouldn't work out. Say that if NDC or MPP going to continue, because these two parties have ruled this nation for quite some time now, since we went back to constitutional democracy in from 1992. And they've both gone back with these statements. We've heard of these rhetorics, and yet they've gone back to the what? To the same bodies, the IMF. So for me, what the president is saying, if it works out, it's good for us. Being able to manage your own is better than depending on others. So from what he's saying, the face value of it is good for Ghanaians. But as to the practicability, whether we can actually practice it is another thing. And the reason why I'm saying so, as I said, in the short term, it's not possible. Probably in the long term. And this long term that I'm talking about has to do with some kind of generational shift, whereby we can really manage the economy from our own hands, from our own perspective, and not looking up to the others. For instance, when the president talk of we moving out from, the IMF program, this is the last one. I think he enumerated a lot of benefits, the advantages that we are likely to drive, that it has brought to us, and even, integrating. We've been able to integrate ourselves to the world economy. I don't know how have we prepared ourselves when we integrate ourselves fully to the rest of the world economy, for us, especially the developed world. You remember what went on when it comes to the crisis,
right?
The economic crisis in the developed world. We were not affected because we were not fully integrated world. Now that we are thinking of, we've joined the IMF, and then so many policies are coming, and then we are integrating ourselves to the world. If there are some negative effects, how prepared are we to make sure that we are able to absorb the shocks? So for me, what the president is saying, if it works out, good for us. But if it doesn't, that is, I am skeptical that
we can likely, immediate be able
we cannot
to
really
win ourselves
out from the IMF.
I'm grateful, Dr. Abdullahi. Professor Jidono, now the president talks about the fact that institutional reforms required under the program to get the country to begin managing its fiscal policy is being done. He particularly mentioned the Bank of Ghana Amendment Act that stops government from going there to dip its hands into it as much as it can. And he says, because those things have been done, we can stay away from these people, the IMF people.
Thanks, Fried. Good morning, and good morning to your viewers and listeners. Well, President Mahama has been in politics for a long time. And I'm quite surprised that being an astute politician like him, once you're not doing politics, you never say never. You don't say that. Now, you see, if everything is under your control, that you do the right thing at the right time and the wrong things at the right time, then you say, I am in charge. Because I'm in charge, everything is under my control, I can predict that this situation will not arise again. President Mahama is speaking as if everything is under his control. What brought us here?
You think it's not like that?
Well, it's not. It's not. If it is, then what brought us here? The IMF didn't invite themselves to Ghana. They didn't ring President Mahama and say, hey guys, you, Ghana, we want to come down there. You have problem, we want to solve it for you. No. We invited the IMF because we are in a deep problem. At the time, we had the worst performing currency on the continent. Things were so bad. Brad, you know when the IMF started coming to this country? Way back.
Well, I remember Pam's card and the rest.
Oh, before that.
And the Rollins. That's
that time, before that, during the time of our Champon. Way back, the 70s, the IMF have been coming in and out of this country for so many years. In and out. Not only in Ghana, a lot of African countries, they have been business coming in and out for a long time. And President Mahama knows that. For him to say, certainly we have now reached there, that never and never again would that happen. But I find that very difficult thing to accept. And I'm quite surprised the president should actually make that statement.
If the loopholes that allow people to overspend and lead us into trouble are plucked, isn't that why perhaps he thinks we won't go there again?
No.
Because he's suggesting that the loopholes have been blocked now.
So does it mean that the loophole were not blocked?
Exactly.
That's why we got ourselves in a mess.
Exactly. Because
that's why the IMF was invited to come and help us out.
Because in 2012 he spent over 12% of more than what he was.
There were a lot of things happening. Some of them he claimed is under his control. What the standard shock from outside, oil price, a lot of things. Remember those days, the government came and said that some of these things are not under our control. Okay, the world market, petrol price, this, that. Some of the things we can control, we did control. Things we cannot control, we cannot control. But folks, we found ourselves in a very difficult situation. To get out of this, I'm inviting the what? The IMF. Did we suddenly say, are we suddenly saying that we've got everything right? that things that we can control, things that we cannot control, we can still control. Hence, we can predict the future that never and never again we will invite the IMF in this country. I don't really think the president is serious about what he's saying. What he's saying this in response to Kofi Asamoah's statement that withdraw from the IMF program now, before this particular program expires. And he said, don't worry, we're almost there. After this one, we will not go back there again. I think what the president should have told Kofi Asamoah is that we're almost there. We have 1 more years to go. We cannot just exit this program because it's not done that way. It's a program. A, after A, B happens, after B, C. Currently, we are now waiting for the what? The third tranche of the money. Is that correct? 160 million. Well, the IMF is not giving to it. They say we must get some things right. That's another thing too. The IMF is saying that I'm not giving you the 160 million because you have not got some things right. And the president said that we are so good in what we are doing that I can predict that we will get through this one. We will not going to get to that place again. So I personally think his response to Kofi Asamoah should just stop that. Look, we are in this one already. We are doing everything possible. By the end of the day, we think we were going to go through it. But for you to go beyond that and say never and never again, Ghana will invite IMF to this country, I don't think he can say that. Because I don't really think that we are there, we will be there after leaving this program. Because look at the paper, there are a lot of other issues. There are a lot of storm. Yeah, everything is there. So I don't think the president can say that. But let me make this point. You see, we must understand what got us here. That's very important as a nation. Okay? The IMF have left Ghana for some time now. And they suddenly they show up. Because we invited them. Because things were so bad. That is what we must be checking. What did we do wrong? What should we have done better? What condition could we have control? What condition were we unable to control because we cannot control them? Are those things changed? Can we now be very confident that we can do things right in the future? I don't really think that we have answer to all those questions. So for the president to say that never and never again, I don't think he thought about that very seriously.
He got it right.
No, I don't think he got it right.
I'm grateful, Professor Tijono. Dr. Abdullah, let me come to you because Professor Tijono isn't too excited about what the president, but the president speaks about a robust economy, a currency that is stable. He talks about a slowdown in the growth of the public debt because according to him, a good debt management system has been put in place, and so the debt is reducing. He talks about reducing inflation and even suggesting that perhaps due to all this, we are building the kind of blocks that will enable Ghana to withstand the shocks so that we don't have to go back to IMF.
I think, let me just, what Prof just ended with. I mean, why we cannot run away from the IMF. I think I've summed it all from my first submission. And I put it this way. You see, it has to do with the governance of this nation. And as I said, until there is some kind of real change, and what I mean by this real change is where you have parties that have never been in power, you get a youth really taking up, you are on board, that you've never experienced, because this MPP and DC, we have experienced them. Is that not it? And they've all gone to what? They've both gone to the IMF for some kind of help. They've ruled this nation, they've governed this nation since 1992. So for me, yes, what the president is saying, whether what he says and whether that is the reality, you understand? Because whatever he's saying, he has to back it up with some kind of evidence why we might not go back to the IMF. And that's why he's mentioning all these things. Not quite long, I think we're able to compare the inflation rate of Ghana and that of some other African countries like that of Kenya, La Côte d'Ivoire here, and we're not better off than them. What is the reduction? I think I saw it's now 16 points. 16
from 18
from
to
18
16.1.
So how do you use this as a basis to say that this is the last time? I mean, as an evidence,
it's dropping.
It's dropping. But how do you use? And you see, dropping does not necessarily mean that it might not go back. It can be oscillating. Is that nothing? It can go up again, or it might come down. How drastic it is? How sure are you that that kind of downward trend that is going to continue? It might go up again. So you can't use it as a basis.
What about our deficit? It's also going down. From the 12% in 2012, it's gone down. So perhaps the president's...
no, that's what I'm saying. He must be able to justify why he's saying this. And you have to look out for any possibility. Do you get it? Whatever little thing that you have for. I mean, talking politics is different from business. You see, in business, we are always very careful, whatever that we do. You see, are you able to sustain this? If you're able to sustain it for a while, you can bring it out as a point to justify what you are saying. You understand? But if you just had it within the short period, but as I said, you cannot begrudge the president from saying that this is the last time, because for him, this is what you should expect him to say. Do you get it? This is what you should expect the president to say.
Because it's an election year?
I don't want to go into that.
Oh,
but
okay.
Probably, if it is in January, probably the story will be different.
I see. I'm grateful. Prof, let's wrap up on this one, because this one we'll do a lot of these IMF business, economy and all that. So for you, you said there were difficulties that brought us where we are, that got IMF in. And you don't seem to see that these problems or challenges have been addressed. And so for you, until we do that, we cannot say we're going away from them.
Well, what I'm saying is work in progress. Work in progress. The IMF program is 3 years, is that correct? And they came in 2015. We're in 2016. The president is using some indicator to show that things are improving. That's why I said it's work in progress. We're not there yet. Even if we are there, it's just for this program. Okay? After 3 years, Ghana will still be here. Some of our problems will still be with us. Some of the fundamentals which created this problem
will still be there.
Will still be there. It's the economy. The fundamentals are still there. Our productive sector is off. We're importing more than anybody else. There are a lot of things happening with our economy. Doomsday is still struggling to go away. There are fundamental problems which is affecting the economy, which is messing us everything for us. So until we address those fundamentals, well, this IMF, you see, the IMF program is like a firefighter. You come to fight some fire. Is that correct? They may put out the fire. The fundamentals which cause the fire may still be there.
May still be there.
So as I'm saying,
faulty electrical wiring.
Of course, they may still be there. The root of the problem may still be there. And Muhammad said, I didn't cause the problem. I only showed up some few years ago. This thing have been here for lingering around for a long, long, long time. That's why the IMF have been going and coming. Going and coming. Okay? Muhammad said I was in secondary school when the IMF started coming to this country. I'm not a president. And they are still going and coming. So the fundamentals that make us an impoverished nation is still there. But we're not going to that this morning. But for me, this is just a 3 years program to fight some fire. Muhammad said we are putting on the fire. Well, we can still see some smoldering here and there.
Okay.
For me, it's work in progress. Okay? Let's wait until the program finishes. So I don't agree with the TUC boss saying that we should withdraw.
We should not withdraw.
Well, we have a 3 year program.
If the program won't yield the desired results, why not?
Well, I know that. You see, IMF program, you don't just enter and exit just like that. It's a program. We do A, B, C, D. When you finish A, you need to do B before you can get some results. You don't do things halfway. Is that correct? Now, what he said, what Kofi Asama said, withdraw and implement homegrown policies. Is that withdraw and implement our own homegrown policies? By implication, it means that the IMF program is not homegrown. Now, the question is, what were we doing all along before we got ourselves in a mess? I thought the president and his group are leading us implementing homegrown policies. before we got ourselves in a mess. Okay, sometimes it's very easy for them to blame the IMF. Okay, yes, we were implementing homegrown policies. Which policy were we implementing? Or do we say that, oh, after the IMF came to town, we've now actually come up with the real homegrown policies that wouldn't have put us in the problem in the first place? Now, we now got the formula, we're going to get out of this IMF tomorrow, and then we're going to implement those things, and everybody will be happy thereafter. What I'm not sure of is the fundamentals which is causing us all the headache. And that is putting up some fires here and there. We're inviting fire factors like IMF to come and help us. IMF said, I'm going to give you only a 3-year program. It's not going to be here forever. 3-year program to solve your problem, but I may not necessarily solve your fundamental problems, because IMF have never solved fundamental problems. They come, they see your problem, they say, look, reduce the fiscal burden, stop employing people, cut some subsidies here and there, don't spend too much, collect more revenue. That is the standard IMF prescription. It's a complete rule book. They take it from country to country. Is that never changed? Okay, they firefight, stabilize you a little bit,
and go.
And then go. If you still get into trouble, you call them. Okay. They go back to Washington. So for me, the fundamentals are still here, or we all know it. Even the people, ordinary people, know that we have problems. Whether the IMF is going to fix our problem once and for all, and never again, we will actually bring them in Washington, hey, we still have another junk, come and solve it. I don't think that's going to happen, because the fundamentals for me are still there.
I'm grateful. Let's continue from where Prof ended and try and see if we can prescribe some medicines. Now, we have heard about this Gadgetsburg economy for so many years. The people who are governing us haven't been telling us that our desire is to change this type of economy, and yet we are in it. We are finding it difficult to get that. Like Prof said, what we're doing is only firefight what is happening, and then the real challenges are there. How do we fight these challenges and stop IMF from coming to us?
I think the simple answer to this is, you see, all what Prof was saying is basically when IMF is coming into your country, there are conditionalities that you have to agree with some of these conditions before they step in. And they usually will come in to sanitize when you are in trouble. They stabilize the economy a bit, then they take off again. So for me, you see, the real issue is that if we can manage our economy to the point that we don't need to go back to them, then this is where we'll have...
But how do we do that?
You see, it doesn't mean that in this country we don't have economists. We have a lot of economists who will always speak against IMF policies when they are coming in. I believe if you open the papers, you hear the views of some economists also expressing their worry about the conditions of what IMF in this country when they are coming, when they are being invited to come in. So for us, I think the best way is to ensure that we have a productive sector. You understand? And getting people to work where they really desire to be, and not just necessarily putting people for or recruiting, employing people for political, reasons. We should get people working. We should get our productive sector doing very well. If we can do that, then we don't need to go back to the IMF. I believe so.
That is one of the solutions.
That is one of the solutions. Make sure that we put people at the right places where we actually need them. We train our people, we get them at the right positions. I believe if we can do that, get our productive sector working, we might not need to go back to the IMF. And allow the private sector also to function very well. Most economies depends on the private sector. We don't have an economy that is largely people being on the payroll of the government. I don't think that is a good sign for us. So if we can get the private sector functioning very well, empower the private sector to employ a lot of people, then we have a productive sector. There is no way we'll get back to, we'll get things going right for us.
Right, but very briefly on that. You remember during the Asian financial crisis some years back, Malaysia, Singapore, they were all in big mess financially. And then one of the suggestions was they should invite in the IMF to give them money. Mahathir Mohamad, the Prime Minister of Malaysia at the time, said, no, we are not going to bring in the Malaysia this in IMF.
Okay.
We are not going to ask for IMF bailout. Our fundamentals are right. It's just that some people speculate on our currency, and then that is messing us up. Currency, I'm talking about currency here. A similar problem, not very dissimilar to what we had when our CD really got messed up. The dollar CD equivalent got messed up. But because by that time, Malaysia was actually on the road of getting a sound economy. Okay, they have good development programs. They were doing very good. They say by year 2020, at that time, there will be a developed nation, which they are almost there already. That was just a little fire which happened. It nearly crippled them. But because the fundamentals were right, they have a strong foundation, a good infrastructure, an economy getting somewhere.
That's what we need.
Well, that is what they had. So although they refused the IMF bailout, they recovered because the fundamentals are right. So you see, if the fundamentals are not right, you can call in the IMF 100 times. If your electrical wire is bad, you can call in a firefighter.
Put all the extinguishers around.
Every time.
And yet the fire will come.
You will come back. That is the situation we find ourselves. So that's a good example that get the economy right, you will never, in fact, when you get the economy right, you don't need your president to say never, never will we invite the IMF. The economy will speak for itself.
Let's wrap up. I just want to pick your thought on this, just 2 minutes each. Now, you realize that our economy seems to go this way. There is an administration in office. It comes to meet a very messy economy. It works hard to get it in a proper mood. And then even before it leaves office, it goes on again. Another one comes, picks up from the messy situation, does some good work, it goes up, and before it leaves office, it goes on again. So it is like this. So if we are in such a situation, then I'm wondering how we can do what you're talking about. Get the fundamentals right.
Well, it's not this up and down you're talking about. Is at the what I call the below threshold level. You see, there's a line beyond which you become a serious economy.
So you're suggesting that we don't, even when we're up, we don't even get to the threshold?
No, we don't get there. We don't go beyond the threshold where you put the economy on a path of a real economy with the fundamentals right. There's a bar. This up and down you are talking about is below the threshold. You see, we have never gone beyond the bar that move nations to serious places.
So that another administration can carry on from there.
Yes, you see, because you see, every administration come, we are still below the threshold. Is that correct? And the thing about our situation is that because we are still below the threshold, a little fire causes us a lot of headache. Because our building is so dilapidated, a little fire, like a Agbobuchi fire. Okay, if you have sound building, is that correct? Sound building.
Right.
When you have fire, the fire will be contained somewhere. When you have a Agbobuchi setup, a little fire, everything got bent down. But when you move from that threshold, above the threshold I'm talking about, when you have sound building, when there's fire, like in the case of Malaysia, you contain it. So this up and down you're talking about, we are still in that Agbobuchi setup. And some people might use wood to build. Some people might, you see the point I'm making? Not that we have found foundation. I can assure you for a long time, this country have not actually gone
beyond the threshold.
That much a fact.
Doc, let me pick your thought on this and then we'll move on.
I think basically we need to get our institutions working beyond just the political, the governance structures. We have to make sure that institutions continue. I remember when we were going for the last elections that we had before this one, it was agreed that the National Development Commission, is that it? Yeah, was to be given that kind of mandate to function very well. I don't think that has been the case. So if we are going to leave the economy, for instance, if we allow the National
We've
Development
seen them
Commission,
talking about a 40-year plan, which they have started somewhere.
that is it. So if we get all these things so that we live beyond just parties, because the reason why I'm saying this is that You see, for some people, their businesses will thrive based on some political party coming into power. And other businesses are to go down because of certain political party leaving the office. If we can go beyond that.
That is wrong.
That's what I'm saying. That is wrong. So if we can go beyond that, so that no matter which government is in power, the business sector will have the confidence to do whatever that they want to do. I think if we can do this, then, for instance, we know the IMF conditions that they bring to us. Why can't we take them and make sure that we also work with them without necessarily inviting them? Why can't we do that? We know what they are going to tell us. And as Prof just said,
don't borrow from the Bank of Ghana and crowd out the private sector.
That is it. Allow the institutions to function without any government interference. And don't overbloat when you don't need the people. For us, that's what I'm saying. A private man will never have people sitting down and then the private person is paying those people. It will never happen. So we should allow institutions the independence to work, and this is the only way we can get out of this mess. And this is how the fundamentals will be built.
Will be built. I'm grateful. Now,